Hello everyone, and welcome to this extraordinary journey through the most remote corners of our planet, where humans are rare and nature still rules supreme. Get ready to be amazed. Together, we will explore the 10 most isolated places in the world, from remote, windswept islands to frozen lands forgotten by time. Buckle up, the adventure begins now. Imagine for a moment, a place where silence reigns, interrupted only by the cries of seabirds or the breath of the icy wind. Fascinating, isn't it? Places where land meets the ocean in spectacular fashion, where life clings to bare rock, and where man is but a passing visitor. It's simply breathtaking. Prepare to be amazed by the raw beauty of these wild landscapes, discover unique animal and plant species, and understand how humans, even in the most total isolation, have adapted and survived. Let's go. Adventure awaits. Our journey begins in the heart of the South Pacific Ocean, more than 2,000 miles from the Chilean coast. Here lies Easter Island, a triangle of volcanic land shrouded in mystery. Known throughout the world for its moai statues, Easter Island is a poignant testament to a lost civilization. Imagine these stone giants, carved centuries ago from volcanic rock, watching over the island with their empty eyes. These imposing figures, some over 30 feet tall, are a silent testament to the ingenuity and spirituality of the Rapa Nui people. But Easter Island is much more than its statues. It is a fragile ecosystem, shaped by isolation and strong winds. The vegetation, once lush, has suffered from deforestation, giving way to a moon-like landscape dotted with meadows and extinct volcanoes. Despite its isolation, Easter Island is home to abundant marine life. Dolphins, whales, and sea turtles frequent its coasts, while seabirds nest on its steep cliffs. Easter Island is a poignant reminder of the fragility of our planet and the need to preserve these natural treasures for future generations. A place where history and nature meet in an almost unreal silence. Our journey continues to one of the most remote places on Earth, Tristan da Cunha. Located in the South Atlantic, over 1,700 miles from South Africa, this volcanic archipelago is the most isolated inhabited place in the world. Imagine an island dominated by a majestic volcano, Queen Mary's Peak, its green slopes plunging into the vast ocean. Here, the wind blows constantly, whipping the rocky shores and making sailing quite dangerous. Only a handful of brave souls, about 250, live on the main island of Tristan da Cunha, forming a close-knit and resilient community. They depend on fishing, farming, and tourism for their livelihood, living in harmony with the wild nature that surrounds them. Life on Tristan da Cunha is far from easy. The isolation makes supplies hard to get, and unpredictable weather can cut the island off from the outside world for weeks or even months. Yet, the people of Tristan da Cunha are proud of their isolation and their traditional way of life. They welcome the rare visitor with open arms, sharing their unique culture and deep love for their island. Tristan da Cunha is a powerful example of humankind's ability to adapt and thrive in even the most challenging environments, a place where time seems to stand still, preserving a simple and authentic way of life. Our exploration now takes us to one of the most hostile and unforgiving places on Earth, Bouvet Island. Located in the South Atlantic Ocean, over 1,000 miles from the coast of Antarctica, this volcanic island is a true desert of ice and rock. Imagine a land battered by winds, 93% covered by glaciers that plunge into a raging sea. Bouvet Island is a place of striking contrasts, where the pristine whiteness of ice meets the austere blackness of volcanic cliffs. No trees grow on this windswept island. Only a few lichens and mosses cling to the bare rock, a testament to the tenacity of life in this extreme environment. Despite its desolate appearance, Bouvet Island is home to an amazing array of wildlife. Millions of seabirds, including king penguins, albatrosses, and petrels, make their home here to breed, taking advantage of the abundance of food in the surrounding waters. Bouvet Island is a unique natural laboratory where scientists can study the effects of climate change and volcanic activity. A place of raw, wild beauty, reminding us of the untamed power of nature. Our journey now takes us to a tiny island steeped in history, lost in the heart of the South Pacific Ocean, Pitcairn Island. This speck of volcanic land, over 3,000 miles from New Zealand, is famous for being the refuge of the Bounty mutineers. Imagine, in 1789, when Fletcher Christian and his men, after seizing the British ship Bounty, sought a safe place to escape justice. They found refuge on Pitcairn, an island then uninhabited and unknown to maritime maps. Today, Pitcairn Island is home to a small community of about 50 people, all descendants of the Bounty mutineers and their Polynesian companions. They live in the village of Adamstown, the only settlement on the island, farming the land, fishing, and selling stamps and crafts to the few tourists who venture to them. Pitcairn's isolation has preserved a traditional way of life and a unique culture, a blend of British and Polynesian influences. The inhabitants speak a particular dialect, Pitcairnese, and live in harmony with the lush nature of their island. Getting to Pitcairn is a real adventure. There is no airport or deep-water port, and the only way to get there is by boat from New Zealand, a journey that can take several days. Despite its isolation, Pitcairn is a welcoming and warm place, where visitors are welcomed with open arms. A timeless island, where history and legend blend in a paradisiacal setting. Our exploration now takes us to a wild and inhospitable archipelago, swept by winds and battered by waves, the Kerguelen Islands, also known by the evocative name of Desolation Islands. Located in the South Indian Ocean, more than 1,800 miles from any inhabited land, these volcanic islands offer a spectacle of raw, wild beauty. Imagine a grandiose and desolate landscape, dominated by Mount Ross, a dormant volcano covered with a glistening glacier. Deep valleys crisscross the land, traversed by rushing rivers that flow into the raging ocean. The climate of the Kerguelen Islands is harsh and unpredictable. Strong winds, which can reach 125 miles per hour, constantly sweep across the archipelago, accompanied by icy rains and snowstorms. The vegetation is sparse, consisting mainly of mosses, lichens, and short grasses, capable of withstanding these extreme conditions. Despite this hostile environment, the Kerguelen Islands are home to an amazing and abundant array of wildlife. Millions of seabirds nest there each year, taking advantage of the absence of land predators. In particular, you can find king penguins, wandering albatrosses, giant petrels, and elephant seals. The Kerguelen Islands are a French territory, administered from Reunion Island. A permanent scientific base, Port-au-Français, welcomes researchers from all over the world who study the fauna, flora, climate, and geology of this unique archipelago. Our journey now takes us to a mysterious and fascinating island located off the coast of Yemen in the Indian Ocean, Socotra. Nicknamed the Alien Island because of its unique biodiversity, Socotra seems straight out of a Jules Verne novel. Imagine a surreal landscape made up of steep mountains, arid plateaus, and pristine white sand beaches. Socotra's geographical isolation has allowed for the development of an exceptional endemic flora, some species of which are found nowhere else on Earth. Among the most emblematic plants of Socotra is the dragon's blood tree, a strange tree with blood-red sap, which looks like a giant umbrella. The desert rose, with its bright pink flowers, and the cucumber tree, with its massive trunk and short branches, are other examples of the extraordinary flora of this island. The fauna of Socotra is just as fascinating. There are endemic reptiles, such as the Socotra skink, a legless lizard, and the Socotra chameleon, capable of changing color. The bird life is also rich, with rare species such as the Socotra sunbird, an endemic songbird. Socotra Island has been inhabited for millennia by a population of about 50,000 people who have preserved their ancestral culture and traditions. The inhabitants of Socotra live mainly from fishing, livestock farming, and date palm cultivation. Our journey now takes us to the far north, beyond the Arctic Circle, to discover a wild and icy archipelago, Svalbard. Located halfway between mainland Norway and the North Pole, Svalbard is a Norwegian territory where nature rules supreme. Imagine a grand and stark landscape made up of majestic fjords, towering mountains covered in sparkling glaciers, and vast plains swept by the wind. Svalbard is a place of raw, wild beauty, where the silence is broken only by the cracking of ice and the cries of seabirds. Svalbard has a polar climate, with long, harsh winters where the sun doesn't rise for several months, and short, cool summers. Despite these extreme conditions, life has adapted and thrived in this hostile environment. Svalbard is the kingdom of polar bears, the largest land predators on the planet. It is estimated that more than 3,000 polar bears live on the archipelago, which is more than the human population. Reindeer, Arctic foxes, and seals are other iconic animals of Svalbard. The flora of Svalbard is sparse but colorful. During the short summer months, the tundra is covered with colorful flowers, offering a striking spectacle in this austere setting. Mosses, lichens, and dwarf shrubs are the main forms of vegetation capable of surviving the long winter months. Our journey now takes us to a remote volcanic island, lost in the middle of the South Atlantic Ocean, St. Helena. This small British overseas territory is famous for being the place of exile of Napoleon Bonaparte, who spent the last 6 years of his life here. Imagine a steep and green island rising abruptly from the rough waters of the Atlantic. Steep cliffs plunge into the ocean, while lush valleys crisscross the inland, offering landscapes of wild and unspoiled beauty. St. Helena is a true botanical gem, home to exceptional native flora. Forests of gumwood trees, tree ferns, and wild orchids cover the mountain slopes, while succulents and giant cacti thrive in drier areas. The fauna of St. Helena is also unique, with nesting seabirds, native reptiles, and rare invertebrates. The island is home to the St. Helena plover, a critically endangered bird, and the St. Helena giant earwig, a native species threatened by habitat destruction. The history of St. Helena is closely linked to that of Napoleon Bonaparte. Exiled to the island in 1815 after his defeat at Waterloo, the fallen emperor lived here in seclusion until his death in 1821. His residence, Longwood House, is now a museum dedicated to his memory. Our exploration now takes us to a wild and isolated place, located halfway between Australia and Antarctica, Macquarie Island. Listed as a UNESCO World Heritage Site, this sub-Antarctic island is a true sanctuary for wildlife, home to millions of seabirds and marine mammals. Imagine a narrow and mountainous island, swept by winds and battered by waves. Steep cliffs plunge into the Southern Ocean, while black pebbled beaches stretch for miles, offering a spectacle of raw and wild beauty. Macquarie Island is a vital breeding ground for many species of seabirds. Millions of king penguins, gentoo penguins, albatrosses, and petrels come here to nest each year, taking advantage of the abundance of food in the surrounding waters. The icy waters that surround Macquarie Island also attract many marine mammals. Elephant seals, Antarctic fur seals, and leopard seals come to breed and rest on its shores, offering an unforgettable sight to the lucky visitors who venture into these southern latitudes. Macquarie Island is a place of exceptional ecological importance, a true open-air laboratory for scientists studying the effects of climate change and pollution on marine ecosystems, a wild and preserved place where nature reigns supreme. Our journey ends on a note of mystery and wonder as we head to one of the last isolated tribes in the modern world, the Sentinelese. They live on North Sentinel Island, a small, densely forested island in the Andaman Islands, in the Bay of Bengal. Imagine a tribe living in the Stone Age, unaware of the outside world and its technologies. The Sentinelese have no peaceful contact with the outside world and fiercely defend their territory against any intrusion. Their voluntary isolation has allowed the Sentinelese to preserve their traditional way of life and unique culture, but it also makes them extremely vulnerable to modern diseases, to which they have no immunity. Attempts to contact the Sentinelese have been rare and often poorly received. In 2006, 2 Indian fishermen who had strayed too close to the island were killed by the Sentinelese. Since then, the Indian government has imposed a 5-kilometer exclusion zone around the island to protect the tribe from any outside contact. The mystery of the Sentinelese continues to fascinate and intrigue the whole world. Are they the last witnesses of an ancestral way of life, doomed to disappear? Or is their isolation the key to their survival in an ever-changing world? Only time will tell. So ends our journey to the ends of the earth, discovering these extraordinary places where nature still rules. From far-off islands whipped by the wind to icy lands forgotten by time, we explored unique ecosystems and met communities that have adapted to extreme living conditions. These isolated places, often unknown, remind us of the beauty and fragility of our planet. They invite us to rethink our place in the world and to act to preserve these natural treasures for future generations. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel to discover other extraordinary adventures around the world.